Okay, so how many times a day do you think you actually use water?
Hmm. How many times a day? I mean,
Right. I mean, we're not talking like counting every single sip, but just in general.
just in general, I
I
mean,
don't know about you, but for me, it's kind of like I don't even think about it. It just
yeah,
kind of goes unnoticed.
yeah, it's just there.
Brushing my teeth, washing my hands, grabbing a drink, it all adds up, right?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what this FinShots article, What's Happening to Our Water, it's got me thinking about it. It came out last week on October 21st, 2024.
Okay, I saw that one.
Yeah, really interesting stuff about how things like deforestation and all the concrete jungles in cities are, really impacting our water
Right. It's not.
in ways we probably don't even realize.
Yeah, we don't always think about.
Exactly. So I thought it would be cool to kind of like dive into this a bit more today and see what's really going on.
Yeah, sounds good.
One of the things that really surprised me was how much water we actually use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like, I knew we needed it to survive, obviously, but the actual numbers they threw out there kind of blew my mind a little.
Okay, like what kind of numbers are we talking?
So for just the bare minimum, just to get by, we're talking like 50 to 100 liters a day.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then they hit you with this. To live what they call a good life, that number skyrockets to 4,000 liters per person.
Wow. 4,000
That's,
per person.
yeah, that is a big jump.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what actually goes into that good life calculation, right?
Right. What defines a good life? In terms of water usage, I mean?
Exactly. And it's not just the water we see, our rivers and lakes, what they call blue water.
Oh, right. The article talks about green water too, right?
Yes, green water. That was a new one for me, I'll admit.
Yeah, it's not something that's talked about as much.
So for those of us who need a little refresher, what exactly is green water?
Sure. So green water is essentially the moisture that's stored in the soil.
It's what plants draw on to grow.
Okay.
And here's the crucial part. It's what gets released back up into the atmosphere.
Gotcha.
And that release of moisture, that's a huge part of what drives our rainfall.
Really? Like, how much are we talking here?
Well, the article said that almost half of all the rain that falls on land actually originated as moisture released by plants.
Whoa, see, I had no clue about that. So that's why deforestation is such a big deal, because it messes with this whole cycle.
Exactly, you're getting it. Fewer trees mean less moisture being released.
Less moisture, less rain. Makes sense.
And the thing is, it's not just a local problem either. The article was saying that this moisture from forests can travel, like, thousands of miles.
Thousands. Get out of here.
Yeah. Affecting rainfall patterns across entire continents. So, like, deforestation in one part of the world could be contributing to droughts somewhere completely different.
It's like that butterfly effect thing we always hear about, but with deforestation.
It is. What seems like a local issue can have these crazy ripple effects globally.
Wild. And speaking of interconnectedness, the way we build our cities plays a part in all this too, right?
Oh, for sure. The article talks about how urbanization kind of adds another layer of complexity to this whole water story. Think about all the concrete in cities.
Yeah, good point.
It basically acts like a barrier between the rainfall and the soil.
Yeah.
So you have less ground that's able to actually absorb the water, which means less opportunity for that green water replenishment that we were talking about.
Right.
And that has a direct impact on the overall amount of water that's available, what experts call total water storage, or TWS.
TWS, got it. So less storage for green water means less water overall.
Right, but the thing is, it's
Yeah.
not just about having less water in general. It's about how this lower total water storage can actually lead to, like, more extreme weather.
Oh, okay, I see.
We're talking about, like, worse floods in some places,
Right.
and then, even more severe droughts in others.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like we're messing up the balance somehow. And I mean, the article even talked about how all this impacts our access to food too.
Oh, absolutely, because you've got to think
Yeah.
more than half of the world's food production.
Wow, that much.
Yeah, it happens in places that are already dealing with water shortages.
Oh, wow.
And as those shortages get worse, growing food reliably, it gets harder,
Right.
which can, lead to those price hikes at the grocery store.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Or even shortages.
Right.
Makes you think twice about that trip to the grocery store, huh?
Seriously. But okay, so
Yeah.
it's not all doom and gloom, is it? I mean, there was that part of the article
Yeah.
where they talked about solutions, like they mentioned these things called atmospheric water generators.
Right, the AWGs.
AWGs, yeah, is that how you say it?
Yeah, AWGs.
AWGs.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. So what are those exactly?
So basically, they pull moisture from the air
Okay.
and then condense it into water that's safe to drink.
Hold on. So they like literally pull water out of thin air. That sounds like something out of a movie.
I know, right? It sounds kind of futuristic,
Yeah.
but it's real. It works. You basically cool down humid air to the point where it can't hold all that moisture anymore. That's the dew point, by the way.
Okay.
And then that water vapor, it condenses.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, water out of thin air, basically.
That is so cool. Okay, but is this, like, actually a thing? Are there real examples of this working?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The article mentioned a few.
Oh, really?
Like in India, for instance,
Right.
they're using them at railway stations.
No way.
Yeah, to provide clean drinking water.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mumbai and Secunderabad are two of the places they mentioned.
Makes sense. Those are pretty humid places, right?
Yeah, high humidity is key for this technology.
Makes sense.
More moisture in the air, the more you can potentially extract.
Right, of course. So it's not just theoretical then.
Not at all.
It's actually being used.
Yeah, they're out there in the world.
That's so cool. And I mean, I'm assuming it's not just India, right? There's got to be
Oh, no, you're right.
other places using this too.
The article also talked about the Navajo Nation in Arizona,
Oh, really?
where they're using AWGs to help deal with their water problems, too.
Wow. So even in different climates and stuff, this
Yeah.
can work.
It seems like it, which is pretty amazing if you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is all very impressive, but I have to imagine there are challenges, right? If it's so easy, wouldn't everyone be doing this by now?
You're not wrong. There are definitely some hurdles.
Yeah, like what?
Cost is a big one. AWGs, especially the larger commercial ones,
Right.
they can be pretty expensive to set up and to keep running.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
The article mentioned that a kind of like mid-size unit, you're looking at anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000.
Oof, yeah, that's not nothing.
No, it's a serious chunk of change.
Especially if your community or, individuals who are already struggling with water issues.
Exactly. So cost is definitely a barrier.
Yeah. Any ideas on how to get around that? I mean, is anyone trying to make this more accessible?
Well, one thing the article suggested was like public-private partnerships.
Okay.
So, governments and private companies may be working together
Yeah.
to like fund and actually implement AWG projects.
Makes sense.
Because if they share the cost, it becomes a lot more doable.
Right. And it seems like there's some movement on that front, right? Because the article mentioned...
Yeah, they said that the Indian government is officially recognizing AWGs
Oh, wow.
as a legit solution to their water crisis.
That's huge.
It is. It's exactly the kind of thing that could really help attract investment and encourage people to use this technology more widely.
So it seems like these AWGs, they could be a real game changer. And not just for, getting clean drinking water.
Yeah, absolutely.
The article even mentioned businesses using this technology to become more water neutral.
Right. Like, hold on, water neutral. What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's not a term I'm super familiar with.
Me neither, actually. I think
Yeah.
it's a pretty new concept.
Okay, so what's the gist?
Basically, it means that a company or, an organization, they find a way to balance out the water they're using,
Okay, that makes sense.
either by cutting down how much they're using in the first place or by, like, investing in projects that actually help replenish water sources.
So kind of like a balancing act.
Exactly. So, for example, you could have a company that, say, reduces the amount of water they use in their manufacturing process.
Okay, makes sense.
And then they take those savings and invest in a project that, like, restores a wetland or something.
Oh, I see. So they're giving back to the environment in a way that directly addresses their own water use.
Exactly. So it all kind of balances out in the end.
That's such a cool idea. It seems like these AWGs could be a pretty important part of making that happen, especially as companies are, looking for ways to be more sustainable.
Totally. And it's not just about businesses either. It's about all of us, right? Like, this whole deep dive, it's really got me thinking about all the ways we use water without even realizing it.
Me too. It's like this hidden world that we just kind of take for granted.
And we talked about green water, all that moisture in the soil that's crucial for rainfall.
Right, and how deforestation is seriously messing with that whole system.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got urban sprawl creating these concrete jungles that can't absorb water effectively.
Yeah, it's like we're creating this perfect storm of problems.
It's kind of, yeah. But then there's the AWGs, which is like a little bit of hope in all of this.
It really is. Who would have thought you could pull water out of thin air?
I know, right? It gives me hope that we can find creative solutions, even for these really complex challenges.
Totally. Okay, so to wrap things up, it seems like the big takeaway here is that we all have a part to play when it comes to water.
Absolutely. Every little thing we do adds up, whether it's being mindful of our own water usage or supporting policies that protect our water resources.
And I love that the article ended with that thought-provoking question. What actions can we take, both individually and collectively, to make sure we have enough water in the future?
Yeah, that's something we all need to be thinking about.
For sure. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of water. Until next time, stay curious.